Hello everyone, SwitchDoubler here. I decided to do another fairy video about Nightmare Moon. As we all know, at some point in history back in the past years ago, in the series, in the show, Luna felt kinda being almost, she was in the shadow of her own sister because the ponies were worshipping her because they spent time in the day, but when she rised the moon, they all went to sleep. There were no ponies there to to endure her nights. She felt angry, disappointment, but most of all, anger. Not only towards the ponies, but against her own sister. That was what part of that when she came in contact with Nightmare Moon. Nightmare Moon was never part of Luna from the first beginning. Nightmare Moon were some sort of like a shadow pony, like Sombra, but most like it's almost like an intelligent being, like almost like I think this was most likely the same scenario when Stygian found the Pony of Shadows. But what if that Nightmare Moon were something similar to the Pony of Shadows and offered Luna more power than her own sister has, and make sure that no ponies would ever question her rule, that she should be the main ruler, not her own sister, and that with with the Nightmare Moon's help, Luna would be able to put away her own sister, that she can maintain the role instead and make turn an eternal night. So that is what all we know that would happen. But what did actually did we didn't know that Nightmare Moon was actually something much simpler. But after Luna were brought back to the light side, more to say, what happened to Nightmare Moon? Well, the Nightmare Moon were never destroyed in that particular part, because in the comics about Nightmare Rarity, Nightmare Moon came back, but instead of being focused on Luna a second time, which I thought, what about Luna? Could she still be having some disappointment feelings as she had a millennia earlier against her own sister? No, because this time she had realized her big mistake were and forgiven her own sister, and from that part she realized. But now this time of age, in the modern era, ponies were enjoying her nights. There were ponies who were studying the stars, the galaxies, or in the night sky. There were even ponies who was actually having camping nights outside in the dark. So ponies were enjoying both the daytime and nighttime. But the main focus here, why didn't Luna was possessed by Nightmare Moon a second time? Let us say that Nightmare Moon did in fact come back to Luna, but not reveal its presence by observing Luna from a distance, knowing, waiting for the right moment to know that Luna would once again feel greedy, hungry for power, and mostly anger against her sister. But that point never appeared, and Nightmare Moon thought maybe that she shouldn't focus on Luna ever again. So what did happen? What if that Nightmare Moon decided to focus on somebody else? Maybe finds another pony has strong in magic, could have been able to control that particular pony. And that is mainly focused on Nightmare Rarity comic issue. In that issue, we are seeing part of Nightmare Moon's past, or at least Luna's in the past prior to millennia and back to modern era. Exactly how this Nightmare Moon were able to convince Rarity in the first place, I'm not even so certainly sure about how. I mean, even if that's shown in the comics issue. But at the same time, I was very curious. How did Nightmare Moon even be able to convince Rarity of all their opponents to embrace its own power to make sure that it would rule Equestria, but at the same time, lying to Rarity, she would give more power, more stronger magic to do anything she wants to do? That is one problem. Even in the end of the comics, when seeing that Rarity is still under the influence of Nightmare Moon, and even that most other than that Celestia, with some ruler guards, and including Spike and the other main six, and including Luna, who is fighting against the monsters, or at least the creatures from the moon. So, what about happened afterwards? Why did Rarity was influenced by Nightmare Moon? Probably would have exactly really don't know for certainly this true gain. But why didn't Nightmare Moon focus on Luna a second time? Perhaps going into her dreams when she was asleep, when she was her mind was at the most weakest point. Enter her mind, trying to corrupt her a second time by giving her nightmares, showing that Luna were standing in front of Celestia, or perhaps behind her, and hearing Celestia saying, I just pretended that I loved my sister and I was just happy her back. But I brought her back so I would make sure contain her anger. And that she thought maybe that I have forgiven her, but I have never will, have never have to, never had, or will never do it. Maybe if that Nightmare Moon would try to corrupt Luna's mind a second time while doing it nice, doing this over and over, and then after that she will can sense more anger, more disappointment in Luna's heart a second time. And then after that she felt there was enough anger in Luna's heart. What if that Nightmare Moon once again appeared in front of Luna and offered her a second time, a second chance to defeat her own sister, but in this time doing before even Celestia knew it? Even if that did once going to happen, I don't think that Luna would even fall for Nightmare Moon's tricks a second time. Even if that during this time when Luna realized her sister is actually telling the truth, that she would never been doing that. She had been forgiven her, and she loves her more than anything, that her own sister be back. So, so the main focus of the question, why didn't Lightning Moon focus on Luna for a second time? Well, first of all, I think that Luna were never considered to be letting be tricked a second time, because to the first time she were not was unaware about Nightmare Moon's presence or perhaps its own offer, and in that in fact, I think the most likely that Nightmare Moon were offered Luna more power than she could even dream about. Even just that she was an alicorn, but adding with Nightmare Moon's power with alicorn power would increase maybe tenfold more powers than Celestia had. That couldn't explain why Celestia were and it was chosen to defeat her own sister and send her to Moon, maybe to find a way to free her sister from this, but at the same time ruling Equestria. So the other main question, why didn't Nightmare Moon focus on Luna for a second time? Maybe that she felt there were no anger, no disappointment in Luna's heart anymore. Even as that maybe entered in Luna's mind, trying to corrupt her once again, but discovered all attempts to corrupt Luna for a second time would never been would never happened. that Nightmare Moon's plans to corrupt Luna for a second time would have failed over and over, and realized there's no point to trying to corrupt this princess anymore. She would never fall for my lies. And perhaps maybe Falls thought it was not worth it. Not worth it to try to focus on Luna and leaves. But the question though, what happened to Nightmare Moon even after that? Because we never saw Nightmare Moon back in the series ever again, except in the cutie remark in an ultimate timeline. But otherwise from that, we never saw her in the show itself. But only in the comics, when seeing that Nightmare Moon had corrupt Rarity to become Nightmare Rarity. But in fact, Rarity was brought back from the corruption, not from Luna, but from Spike. His love for her was so strong and so genuine, make her realize it wasn't worth it. All the anger, all the disappointment, the corruption that Nightmare Moon had put in Rarity's heart was gone. She had lost her power over Rarity and failed attempt again. So exactly what happened to Nightmare Moon after that Luna was brought back to light? Well, we never know for sure, but it is very likely that Nightmare Moon were out there somewhere hoping to find another host to take over. But it's very likely that even after that Nightmare Moon was defeated, it was in a weakened state, unable to control any pony at all in that particular time. And it would only need more time to grow stronger and stronger to be able to control any particular pony. But what if that in fact, even after all this defeat, after Luna was redeemed herself and brought back to the light, what if that Nightmare Moon was not only that it was weak, in a weakened state, and that just disappeared and vanished forever? Because some of the comic series on the comic books are considered as a canon. So even if that Nightmare Rarity aren't considered as a canon or non-canon, we know to say for certain from that part. So if Luna were freed from Nightmare Moon and that Nightmare Moon were gone forever, so the question, what happened? Maybe there's a truth, like I said, maybe it's just faded away because it's too weak to even contain itself as much anger or something. Or if they did manage to survive, and then someone somehow escaped and was waiting for some pony to be able to control of, but was too weak to even corrupt that particular pony or any pony at the point at the moment. So if that Nightmare Moon did survive and was waiting to get stronger to be able to control any other pony. Because even if that Nightmare Moon did survive and tried to focus on Luna for a second time, but realized it was pointless, Luna would never fall for Nightmare Moon's tricks a second time. So it is very likely if Nightmare Moon did survive, it had tried to focus on Luna for a second time, but realized she would never fall for it. And or the second possibility that Nightmare Moon is gone forever. Because like I said, we don't know if Nightmare Rarity comic series episode number are considered as canon. Because if that story isn't considered as canon, that would say most likely that Nightmare Moon is gone forever and never returns. But like I said, we don't know for sure. But in my opinion, Nightmare Moon is gone for good. It will never return or ever corrupt any other pony ever again. But if you have your own opinion about this, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe, leave a comment, and as always, This is Switch Audio over and out.